Travis hit on the camera. From this point forward, I believe that no person should walk into a central appraisal district that is not wearing a body cam or holding a camera operational in their hand and recording exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, that is now the only way left for anybody to truly protect their civil rights. What is coming off of this issue since Monday is not only just crimes, but crimes against civil rights, prohibiting civil rights. These are constitutional issues, both under the state of Texas and the United States of America.
Well, before I start, just let me say, I want to say the last video I made, I was maybe a little bit wrong about what I thought. The Benghazi Rabbit absolutely did what they say he did. I mean, this lady, she wasn't suicidal. And I listened to Sean Porter and Mr. Phylax, their little discussion over it, and I'm convinced that the Benghazi Rabbit Billy is the one who killed her, period. There's no two ways about it. She wasn't suicidal. He was desperate. He was addicted to drugs. He secretly got married to her, and there's no two ways about it, man. He did it. He did it. And then all the weird behavior before and afterwards, the fake crying. I mean, there's no way. You can't look at this from any other angle and come up with a different outcome. He's guilty, period. Hands down. Now, after this video, after this Grady Judge shit, this video kind of gets kind of real for most people in Texas. So if you live in Texas, definitely pay attention. Okay, the rest of this exciting video is going to be basically about the cost of your home, your market cost, and taxes, and fun stuff like that, like complicated algebraic, algorithms in certain softwares that are meant for calculating these things. And yes, there is music for that exact category.
Is active and moving callous anomaly in the algorithm through the algebraiculus. I'm all of Alexandria's information in aggregate, ruling elder, giving you the hell that melt the valuables. Riddances, grid at my back, I'm in the diagonals, evolving, shivering as back he shattered the manacles. Man down, damn it, can he manage the variables? Manually override these overnight manuals, man. My mama mayday, it's the tapering of the straightaway, the making of a bedlamite, the straightening of the theta wave, working on a way to cure the sudden inexplicable urgency to secure a sure shot shape paperweight pay demand simultaneously in survival mode and looking like 100 violations of the fire code. Design to die alone, moments out the styrofoam, but not before these no names go the way of the dial tone.
Parents, your kids are online gaming.
Holy shit, for real? Is this really happening? Online gaming?
And then they get in these squabbles and fights.
Oh no, squabbles and fights, holy crap.
And then they decide that, hey, I'm going to SWAT and create stress and anxiety for the kid, for the parents, for whoever's at the house.
Stress and anxiety? You mean those emotions that we have when we're babies?
This is a very, very dangerous event. There have been serious vehicle crashes.
Oh shit, vehicle crashes? Oh no.
With police officers and deputies rushing to scenes.
Okay, that could suck.
Thinking they had a horrific immediate event. There have been all kinds of call-outs, EMS, fire, SWAT teams at some of these swatting incidents across the United States to find out they're fake. There's nothing to them. But you risk the law enforcement officers' lives, the paramedics, the firefighters' lives.
So by having some dumb kids make some phone calls, we are somehow risking their lives? I thought they risked their lives when they put the badge on or when they, strap a gun on or, I thought they risked their own lives. You know what I mean? How can we be doing that for them?
And the victims in the house that more times than not are in bed asleep.
What are they a victim of? Bad dreams or counting sheep? What kind of victim is that?
When this thing occurs, parents, we need your help. Lock down the machines, Don't allow them to play games with people across the United States. If they want to,
He's saying, bringing up the fact that a 12-year-old kid tried to swat one of his friends or whatever, and then that because they have to answer that call, that they're not available to answer real emergencies. Oh my God. Every time a cop dies, this is what happens, dude. And I cannot believe that he even brought this up. The fact that he acknowledged the fact that there are times when their emergency services can be taken up by something else and it's affecting everybody else is ridiculous, dude. Because if they know that, how can they let this happen every time a cop dies?
we're not available to respond to real emergencies, to people who really need help, who really need deputies and police officers, firefighters, and paramedics. All of those units are all tied up.
Okay, so all that bad stuff happens because a 12-year-old makes a phone call. Then how do you explain this, Grady? How do you explain all this misuse of resources? This is all one continuous shot. Even in a little bit, whenever I repeat Grady Judd saying this, doing this, or whatever, it's still, the police cars is still one continual shot, even though his voice repeats. But anyways.
There's nothing to them, but you risk the law enforcement officers' lives, the paramedics, the firefighters' lives. Lock down the machines. Don't allow them to play games with people across the United States. Where you know the parents need your help, and they know you, and stop down the machines, online gaming that's leading to these horrible events across the United States. And at the very least, while these emergency services are going to, we still go there and have to check it out. But while our resources are tied up doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this,
How do they get the money to tie up all the resources like they do doing this? I wonder. Doesn't that seem kind of silly now, what he said about the resources being taken up and not about to go after real criminals or real crimes? Because they can literally take an entire day off and then just drive their cars around town at a super slow pace, one by one, and nobody on the clock, nobody working, and everything's fine then. But a 12-year-old boy wants to swat his friend, and it's a huge fucking officer safety issue that we created. It is impossible to take this guy seriously. When a 12-year-old does something that they don't like, they want literally shut down online gaming. Well, what happens when it's reversed? What happens when the online gaming or just software that the government is using affects thousands and hundreds of thousands of people and millions of dollars, right? What happens then? Well, meet this guy. Well, probably nothing. Those numbers aren't big enough. What if it's millions of people and billions of dollars across millions of miles? Well, I need you to meet this guy. And yes, that is a bear behind him. We've seen it all, right? This guy here is, he's something different, right? He's on a whole different level. He's actually one of them. He's a first responder. But he does the same thing. He goes to his, his hearing that is set for his tax, to contest his taxes or whatever. And He does whatever a First Amendment auditor does, but he is not a First Amendment auditor. I repeat, not a First Amendment auditor. This is his hearing about his own stuff, right? But just like the First Amendment auditors, he's respectful, puts his camera in his place, doesn't make a big deal about it, and goes on with his thing. But unlike a town meeting, this is a court hearing, right? He is put under oath before he gives the information and whatever, and so is the town or the people. They're put under anyway. Both sides are put under oath. Not unlike at a town meeting where it's just kind of informal. And also, unlike First Amendment auditors, he's not trying to draw attention to this. He's not trying to draw attention to himself. He genuinely wants to get through his presentation. So he brings his camera. What everybody should do: brings his camera to film what happens. But listen, I'm going to let his buddy tell you what he's uncovered, though, because everyone who watches this channel is used to this idea that you're going to, if you piss off the government, they're going to trespass you for nothing, whatever. And we all know this is going to happen. But what this guy's response is absolutely priceless. But listen to what he's uncovered. I'm going to let his buddy Mitch tell you what potentially is going on. Well, what is going on, right? And it has to do with software, just like how lawyers rely on AI, which is ridiculous, and it's fucking up their profession. Well, AI for this tax software stuff is going to make everybody in Texas bankrupt, basically. And mainly here in Montgomery and Harris County, which is, just pay attention if you're in any of those areas, which I know a lot of you are.
What we're going to do legally and kind of what we need from you. But there's three main points other than removing the trespass that I want you guys to understand about what happened and what we were able to prove. Number one, the value of my home was not derived based on Texas Property Tax Code 2301. Number two, the value of my home was not derived from USPAP as is required. Number three, the software that the central appraisal districts are using subverts both property tax code and USPAP. Mitch Vexler, can we defer to you now? And can you tell us what we need from people to step up that are residents of Montgomery County? And then can you go into our next steps with getting attorneys and reaching out to these institutes?
I want to backtrack just for a second so everybody is fully aware how all this ties together. Our initial numbers that we did several months ago conclusively show that over 37% of the households are in harm's way of bankruptcy and or going to lose the roof over their head. Just so you get the scale of this, give or take, that's over 4 million houses in the state of Texas. Across the United States, that's 42 million homes. That's how big this is. 5.1 trillion, roughly, in outstanding school district bond fraud. The state of Texas is responsible for roughly $660 billion of that outstanding school district bond fraud.
Is that into perspective yet, how big this is?
When you look at the document that I left with Helen Kerwin, which was the bill, but attached to that bill was the cumulative compound interest rate calculator. And you understand that in a place like Godly, Texas, the debt load is $120,000 in outstanding school district fraudulent bond debt. That's the equivalent of $543 per month, over $6,000 per year that doesn't exist to pay that off because the majority of the households in Godly don't have the money to even pay their own mortgage, let alone a perceived, conceptual, out and out fraudulent school district bond fraud debt. That's the problem. So that debt, just so you understand, 543 grows 11-fold over 30 years. The money doesn't exist today to pay that debt, never mind tomorrow morning. That's how bad this is. I want to come back to the pattern and practice so you understand what that really means. The FBI is looking for certain circumstances that do tie at the tail end of the day to RICO. However, let's walk this in baby steps. Pattern and practice to defraud. That is what has happened here. And below this video will be what it is that Travis handed in today to the district attorney. When you read that document, you will see yourself inside that document. There's an extraordinarily high probability that the vast majority of people in Harris County, Montgomery County, et cetera, are affected by the exact same issues that have been raised in that document. Over and above all that,
Here is this guy's channel for those of you who want to subscribe to him. Over and above thousands of people getting trillions of dollars ripped off from them and faulty or purposely faulty, evil internet software that allows them to ignore laws and simple mathematics. Over and above all that, listen to what he has to say. Fraudulent this is epic issue, scheme, thing.
Travis hit on the camera. From this point forward, I believe that no person should walk into a central appraisal district that is not wearing a body cam or holding a camera operational in their hand and recording exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, that is now the only way left for anybody to truly protect their civil rights. What is coming off of this issue since Monday is not only just crimes, but crimes against civil rights, prohibiting civil rights. These are constitutional issues, both under the state of Texas and the United States of America.
Now, I've never seen this guy Mitch until today, never did any research on him. I just immediately started making this video after I heard all this. But I just want to say as an observation, I believe this guy has worked for the federal government in some way, or at least the government. And now he's on the side of good. It just seems to me like he's been through their bullshit before. That's all. If I'm wrong, Mitch, I'm sorry, but I really believe that. Okay, so what you just heard was Thursday. Today is Thursday, July 17th. Oh man, I wasn't even sure it was July. But anyway, rewind 2 days. Here's the tax hearing that he got trespassed from.
Now, and this guy here, I asked not to interrupt me. He jumps in and interrupts me. I'm asking for you to please review my comparable data. Now I have 2 minutes left.
Just close it here.
I have 2 minutes left. Please review my comparables. And this gentleman
Okay, sir.
is refusing to
Okay,
let me
so having listened
review
to
my
your-
comparable data.
Having listened to you, I mean.
Sir, we're
it
all
seems
listening to
we're
this
not going
hearing.
somewhere
Sir, we're all listening
at
to this
all,
hearing.
sir.
The
I
public
mean,
is
I was
listening,
very
judges
willing
are
to work
listening,
with you.
criminal.
See how this guy only started listening when you said the judges are listening? Anyways, I just thought that part was funny. Anyway, let's rewind 10 minutes, okay? Let's go back to the beginning of this. And also, too, remember that whenever he gets interrupted, when it's your time to speak and you get interrupted, it's always because you struck a nerve of some sort or you just called out what they're doing, right? And so listen to the moment when he gets interrupted by these guys.
Is listening,
Very
judges are
willing to work
listening,
with you.
criminal. I'm going to get through my time as quickly as possible. I have a presentation that I would like to read in, and what I would ask is that you guys allow me to finish my presentation, and at the conclusion of the presentation, we can go over the evidence. Last time I was here, there was a little bit of conflicts, so hopefully we won't have that with interrupting and stuff like that. And I want you guys to know I mean no disrespect. Just trying to get the law into the record.
Two things here. First, his point for this right now is to read the law into the record. So it's in there just in case anybody reading the record has a question about the actual law that he's talking about, that they can look through it. And two, what he did there is he looked at each one of them when he said respect, right? And he doesn't mean disrespect. He said he doesn't mean disrespect. And he purposely looked both of them in the eyes when he said that. And that means a lot to me, because to me, that tells me that he's serious about not wanting to disrespect them by looking them in the eyes when saying that, being respectful, and of course, it is not returned at all. They could care less.
So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over the evidence that
Funny how they made this huge deal about him putting it up and scanning it in so they could put it on the projector and be able to see it. When if you watch these two in the background, they spend more time watching him than they do looking at the projector.
RPA has sent, starting with the page 3, which basically states appraisal type and scope of work. And I'm going to read this word for word. This is the evidence that was provided to me. I did not get the updated evidence with the lower value and new comps. That's okay though. So I'm going to go with what I was provided.
Was this scanned in?
This is your evidence.
We're going over our comps.
I'm going over this package.
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
the
Did you have it
HB201.
scanned in? So
Everything is scanned
we can
in.
read it up here?
Do I have their evidence scanned in?
No, your evidence.
Oh yeah, everything is scanned in.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm going to finish now, okay guys?
well, We'd like you to pull it up here.
But this is my presentation, sir.
Okay.
Can I
we
finish,
have her
please?
pull it up so we can be
Yes.
reading it as
Sure,
you read it?
sure.
Okay.
Is it this one here,
It's
sir?
this page, the third page.
Okay, third page.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we
Just
can
need to know
all,
where to go.
so we can all follow you, sir.
Get
I
it turned
mean,
up.
Sure.
it will be in,
Yeah, it's just the standard law.
It is, sorry.
it
It's
will
the
be
normal
in-
everyday
in
law.
our
This one here,
benefits.
sir?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So I wanted to read this in to records, and I know we're both filming, and I appreciate that. The following is a restricted use reappraisal report performed for the sole purpose of determining a market value, emphasis on market value, for the subject property as of January 1st, 2025 for ad valorem tax purposes. The research analysis and supported data is limited to what is necessary to develop a credible opinion of value according to USPAP, in conjunction with Texas Property Tax Code, which is 2301. And I wanted to briefly read in a section of law that pertains to this hearing and every other hearing, which is 2301, which states appraisals generally. Except as otherwise provided by this chapter, all taxable property is appraised at its market value as of January 1st. And then section B says this: the market value of the property shall be determined by the application of generally accepted appraisal methods and techniques. If the appraisal district determines the appraisal value of the property using mass appraisal standards, the mass appraisal standards must comply with the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practices, which again is USPAP. Now I want to go down to section C that states this: notwithstanding section 1.04C, 7C, in determining the market value of a residential homestead, the chief appraiser may not exclude from consideration the value of other residential property in the same neighborhood.
Will not exclude the value of property in the same neighborhood. That's kind of important, I think. Remember that.
So, just wanted to drop down. I appreciate you guys' patience. I wanted to drop down to 2301F, which states this: the selection of comparable properties, which is what I have an issue with, and the application of the appropriate adjustments to determine an appraisal value of the property by any person under this section must be based on the application of generally accepted appraisal methods and techniques. Adjustments made must be based on recognized methods and techniques that are necessary to produce a credible opinion. And then if you drop down to section H3, it goes into, one more time, the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practices, published by the Appraisal Foundation. So, that's what I wanted to read in as far as law so far. I'm going to go into the next page of the evidence. Oh, you brought up 2301. Nice. Thank you. See, awesome. Okay, so I wanted to go to comparable sales analysis now.
Okay.
Now, again, let me just double check. So, what I had, I see that a reduction has been made. So what I have is a slightly different. That's okay.
And here's what happened here. So the information he's about to go over is the information that they have previously given him, before he set the hearing and before today happened. Now that he's here at the hearing with the information and everything, normally what happens is people have a problem with how high the numbers are, right? So they're there to reduce it. So I think what this board or whatever, this commission, whatever they are, has done is that they're so used to this happening that whenever somebody sets a date, they look at the numbers they gave him and then automatically lower them. So when they get here, like today, and he sees, oh, there's some lower numbers or whatever, they're normally like, okay, that's all I wanted, you to lower it. Or like they just tried to do, have a huge discussion over it, right, until the clock runs out on the amount of time that he has, right? But he doesn't fall for any of this. But he's here to expose a statewide problem with software, and he's not here just to get his the numbers to go down. So the fact that he just skipped over that, now they don't know what to do, you know what I mean? And he just keeps going, and then anyway, that's what that was.
But what I wanted to go over here is essentially, and I'm gonna go fast. As it pertains to a credible opinion of value, I wanted to put emphasis on comparable number 3 and comparable number 5. And the reason I want to do that is because it appears that better comps were subverted to come up with a value. And I say that because comp 3 and comp 5 are considerably smaller. Comp 3 is about 1,400 square foot smaller when we have comparable cells, and I'll get to that in a minute, that are very, very close to the size of the subject property. And comp 5 is almost half of the size. So comp 5 is 1,675 square feet. The subject property is 3,330 square feet. Now, I'm sure that anyone that is doing residential appraisals can tell you that generally an acceptable appraisal method to come up with a credible value is taking properties that are as similar to the subject property as possible. Well, my concern here is that the value derived is subverting both the use PAP, but also subverting Section 2301 of the Property Tax Code. And I believe what's happening here is the software is designed to meet the budgets of the school districts and other municipalities. And I say that because the comparable data.
Think about that. The software program that they're all using is meant to meet the budgets of the municipalities and school districts instead of going by the actual law. Think about how crazy that would be if he's right. Think about that. That is nuts, dude. It might explain a lot of the way your school boards are acting and a lot of the way your municipalities are acting around the United States. You know what I'm saying? This might explain some problems in some different cities, assuming they use the same technology or the same software. Kansas.
That I provided, and we're going to get to that here in a minute, is within about 10 to 15 square feet, which means that what happened here is in order for them, I'm almost done, to determine the value, they had to withhold comparable cells that were closely related to the subject property.
Basically, they're picking this particular criteria to go with on that particular place by overlooking the 2 or 3 that they should have done in the first place. And they're doing this based on the fact that they have the schools or a certain budget to meet with another entity. You know what I mean? Or just for their own greed. I mean, it's whatever. And also the other criteria is comparable sales. Like, to get the market value, you need to definitely factor in the fact of what similar houses comparable to yours sold for. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he's talking about too. And I just want to add in there, this whole software thing, it's kind of funny because, like, I think that he is accusing them of doing this, you know what I mean? And they are doing this because you can blame a software program, but even a software program that does complicated math problems in, situational, aerial, whatever, sectors and blah, 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 it still requires information input. It still requires the people to accurately input the information before the algorithm or software does its thing, you know what I mean? So when he's saying the software is making these mistakes and whatnot, I think it's kind of funny. Even if it is the software that has the issue, it's still funny because the human input, using the software is the first problem, and not listening to somebody who says that it's faulty is another problem. But also, too, it probably works perfectly. It's just the information input from these assholes is incorrect, and they know that, which is why they're acting this way too. But again, they're just greedy. That's all. And even if I'm wrong on both those, the software works perfectly and the human input was just fine, it still doesn't mean that they're not doing something fraudulent because the problem is, and it's in the law, it says purposely excluding the neighboring properties or sales of homes or whatever as a factor. Specifically excluding those is the illegal part, right? So going into this perfectly working software with totally good numbers by one person at the end of the night to remove some of the information is still just as fraudulent. So either way, I mean, it is the software, but technically it's the people.
A 1,600 square foot house being compared to a 3,300 square foot house, when there's other comparable, sir, I'm not done, when there's other comparable cells that closely rematch the subject property, is not a generally accepted appraisal practice.
Sir, did you
And if you guys go to my evidence that I provided.
You see what I'm saying? It's either you've ignored use PAP or whatever, and you're breaking the law, or you're not breaking the law, and use PAP is being ignored by the software. Either way, it's a credible issue and a perfect reason for these government people to look into this, dude. Not do what they're about to do. And we all know how the rest of this story goes. First, they're going to assault him. They're going to try to take his camera and his evidence, and then he's going to prevail on that. Then they're going to try to discredit him by saying he's done this before. He's going to prevail on that. And then they're going to arrest him. Sorry, this is about to happen to you, but they're going to arrest him and try to attack his credibility and say that his word as a criminal is not credible. Still even got a pending case now and blah, blah, blah. And then after that, they're just going to spend the rest of the next 10 years trying to fuck him over. Sorry, buddy, but that's how it goes with government. I'm sorry that you believe in these assholes.
Which is the comps.
I mean,
I can actually show you that. And what I'd like to do.
Sir,
if possible,
Sir.
is pull
Sir,
up the
he'd
comps
like
that I
to speak to
provided.
you.
Sir, can you please get out of my face?
I'm not in your
Please,
face.
Sir,
Could
sir, can you please get out of my face?
He would like to talk to
Sir,
you, the
sir,
chairman
I
of
don't
the board.
appreciate your intimidation, sir.
I'm not intimidating. I see.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right here. First, we all know that whenever you're getting interrupted, it's right after or you're getting to something that they know is something that's going to hurt them or that they don't like, or just they just don't like you in general. And when you say fuck or shit or whatever, then they go off or whatever. But normally the moment of interruption is either right before the moment of the good stuff, you know what I mean? Or you've just crossed some kind of like invisible line or whatever. But here, like you saw earlier, I call it the incriminating interruption. See, he's got an option here, and he chose what I would choose, but he's got an option to put the camera hold the camera in front of him and risk this guy smacking it and him losing all his data, losing everything he's recorded, or keep himself in between the crazy guy and the camera, so the guy only has a choice to smack him. So, and therefore keeping his data and keeping what he recorded. So, I mean, he could go out the easy way or whatever, but it is definitely. I mean, he could get punched at any time. He's not even looking at the guy, and he knows the guy's dangerous. So yes, this situation, he would be shaking like a leaf. You know what I'm saying? He could get rabbit punched in the back of the head at any second, and he knows that. But it's worth it to save the recording, right? And that's part of the reason that I think that this assault should be considered
Hi
so.
there. Hi there.
Sir, what was your name?
My
And
name's
you're the
Steve
chairman of the
Burns.
board, Steve?
I am
Okay.
chair. Yes.
Steve, I have a legal right to present evidence.
And you have
You're
a legal
sitting
right?
here, cutting me off again. Yeah, I have a legal right to present my case. I've asked this board to listen to my case. I'm providing them comparable data that closely resembles and matches my home. I'd like to get through with that without you coming into my face, interrupting me. This isn't a fair trial. You're
It is a
violating my
fair
rights
trial.
again. We have your name. You're the chairman of the board. You bully people.
No, I do
You make
not.
this very difficult for me to present. You
Sir,
get my
my
emotions kicked
comments
up.
were in your
I'm sick and
favor.
tired of the bullying, guys. Let me present my case, please.
Okay, we have 3
Let me
minutes
present my
left.
case, please.
We have 3 minutes left for
Well,
your
you see, the thing is
presentation.
you see what they do,
That's
guys? I'm wasting my time arguing with them about petty things that don't matter. I'm simply reading in the law. I'm trying to connect the dots for the board because they are now a party of knowledge with the power to prevent fraud.
There is just kind of luck that what they're able to do, because they now that they have knowledge of the law, and it's in the record that they have knowledge of this law, and with what he has said, they have a fiduciary duty to make sure that what he said is true or not true, to disprove it. Because if it is true, then they are accomplices to mass defrauding. Like, they are a part of the crime. Even if it was an accident, you know what I mean? The fact that they have the information of the law and the information of what's happening now that he's given to them, they have a duty to do something about it and to not be a part of it. They have a duty to keep their organization out of any criminal doing by investigating this, But instead of doing the right thing for everybody, they just they do what they normally do. What we've seen government do 100 times: unlawfully trespass somebody and make some bullshit up.
The software is subverting math and law. We can now go over my comparable 1 and my comparable 2, but I've also, and comparable 3, which are very much closer to the characteristics of the subject property, not 1,600 square feet. So, comp 1, comp 2, and comp 3 have been provided to me. And please, don't get aggressive, sir, to the chairman. And I think it would be appropriate for a chairman to be composed, being that the public and constituents pay a portion of their salary. So, can we
Sir,
pull up
you
my
have-
comps now?
You have 2.5 minutes left.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
Yeah, we have the timer on for 15 minutes.
So we have how much
Yeah,
how
we
much
have 2
time
minutes.
is left? So we have 2 minutes left.
And I
So I'm
still
sitting
need
here
to,
arguing.
sir.
So here's the crux of it all right here. This is the very moment, right? He's read in the law, so they're aware of the law now, at least on paper. Now he just has to make sure that they have the evidence, that he's going to show them the comps that are wrong, right? So this is what they do, right? Instead of listening to that and having both the law and the evidence in their hands and doing the right thing and going to check up on it and making sure people aren't getting fucked, they're just going to try their very best to not hear what he has to say, right? To basically shut him up before he shows the comps that are the ones proving that what he's saying is correct.
And I
Wasting
still need
time.
to,
I have 2 minutes left. This is what we're facing
my board.
as property
I'm not
owners here in
value.
Texas. I mean, I can't even get to my comps. This guy got in my face aggressively. I mean, I'm literally shaking right now, because this man came over here, got in my face, and started trying to humiliate and embarrass me.
Because that man
That's
is
what happened right
supporting-
now.
is supporting
And
us.
this guy here,
I'm
judges are
willing to work
listening,
with you,
criminal and civil
but I'm
complaints
going
will
to
be
close
filed
this hearing
against this
right
entire
now.
board,
This is the end of the
and they
hearing.
will not let me provide comparable data. Sir, I won't refuse to leave if you're forcing me to leave.
Okay,
So
sir.
you're forcing me to leave without
the
providing me
hearing
with my
is
data?
closed.
So the hearing is data, this is closed, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so, there you go, guys. Wasn't able to present my case, wasn't able to discuss things, and these are the people
Sir,
that we pay their
if there's
salary
any- if there's
for.
any
Sir, I'm
problem
leaving
you're
now,
leaving,
sir, I'm leaving now.
I'm going to have the constable
Sir,
here.
Sir, I'm leaving now, okay? You can get the constable. I'm just gathering my stuff. I want people to know what it's like to come into these rooms and to sit with these bullies and tyrants, okay? But I want you guys to know, this is why it's so important to record. And when you come in here, be cool. Let them sabotage themselves and have confidence that someone that's fair is going to review this matter. And here's the guy that thinks it's okay to bully me, right here. Sir, you think it's okay to bully? Okay, he just grabbed me. This man just assaulted me.
I did not
He
assault
just
you.
assaulted me. I have it on camera. And he grabbed my... Sir, this man just assaulted me.
I did not assault
He
you.
grabbed the camera out of my hand.
What do y'all think? I think, yes, absolute assault. Let's go back and look at it. But first, I want to say this is an area where I'm an expert in. I have broken my wrist. Well, wrists. Okay, pay attention to my left hand. Okay, now look at my hand right here, or this wrist, right? When it hits the ground, this is the hardest way to break a wrist, right? I know you see my foot and you think it's my foot that's going to be the problem. It's actually not. It really just bounced off, and I got so lucky. But anyway, this is the hardest way to break a wrist. Now, the easiest way to do it is to twist it, and especially it's even easier. You have more leverage if the wrist is holding on to something, right? So if you're holding a camera straight up and down, now whether he had a whatever it's called, whatever that thing is that holds the cameras or not, doesn't matter. If you hold your hand out straight or your wrist out straight and start turning it, so if your hand's straight up and down like this, and you start to twist your wrist, you can only get about 90 degrees before your elbow starts turning. And now if somebody is to quickly push your wrist to that direction and your elbow doesn't have time to react, your shit's sprained and possibly broken by then. If you go full 180 to upside down, your shit's broke. Now, remember what I said. He tries to keep himself in between the camera and the guy, so the guy can't say he put the camera in his face. Now, the reason most people say that is because if you put your camera in somebody's face, it is a reaction if somebody gets in your personal space to, push or smack or get whatever away from you, right? Well, the thing is also, too, there's a mental thing that happens where it's like, if you do put something in somebody's face that they momentarily, get aggressive or whatever, just to throw it the threat or whatever. But I just want to show a bunch of screenshots leading up to him smacking the camera that shows that he plotted this. Because why in the world would you just look at these screenshots and tell me that this man did not plan what he was going to do? Now, I want y'all to realize he's holding his camera, right? So his arm can't get any longer. So unless his head gets bigger or shrinks, then his arm is the same length away from his body as it's been since the beginning, right? So if their faces get closer to each other, it can only be that the other guy is getting closer to him, right? It doesn't mean that he's putting the camera closer to the guy's face. It can't be that way because his face would get huge. You know what I'm saying? So if the faces start to come together, it's only that the guy behind him is getting closer to him, not that the camera is moving any closer to the guy. Does that make sense? Oh, and he's got eyes on him at all times. And when I say him, I mean his camera, not the back of his head or whatever. Okay, you see what I mean? Like this one here, he's absolutely really close to him. And then right here, he's a little further away. But I've slow-moed a lot of these camera slaps, dude. And one thing that always happens is they smile right before they do it. As we see right here. And then 2 more frames, which is literally 0.02 of a second, he smacks it. Also note how the hilariousness of the no gun signs in the background. I think that's hilarious. Right? All right, let's see. Here we go, slow-mo. I want to note him slowing down right here, right? Boom. See, he kind of stops and slows down. So yeah. And the whole time he's looking at the camera, right? He's not looking at the dude. He's looking at the camera. He's spotting his target. See that? Now he's going in. Boom. So this obviously isn't a high-speed camera, but you can see the tracers. You can literally see his wrist twisting in the right there in the visual picture that you get, right? It does look like the tracers. It's literally going in a circle. You can see it. Now, you can actually tell the trauma to this guy's wrist by what happened here. Look, so it's right side up, right? See how it corrects itself?
It thinks it's okay to bully me. Right here. Sir, you think it's...
I have it on.
What that means is his camera was connected to his hand the whole time. It never fell. But what that means is that his wrist did a complete 180. Like his camera flipped more than enough upside down to flip the screen. You know what I'm saying? And you can see it. You can see it in the tracers because this is not a high-speed camera by any means. And it's also not stationary. You know what I mean? So you can literally see that his wrist twisting in the footage.
And I have evidence of that from this man grabbing my property. I'll be in contact, sir.
You good? I'll be in contact with you too.
Yes, you will. There it is. Sorry, sir. So possible, I would like to show you that he grabbed me and my camera aggressively with force, essentially attacking me. So the chairman did physically attack me. But I'm removing because I respect law enforcement. Of course, brother, I'm sorry.